Welcome to the Wealth Zone University. I'm your host, Don Moragne, and as usual, we're going to have another great episode. You know our credo, to change your mind about money so that you can change your financial future. Today, we're going to be discussing something that's extremely important to business owners, asset protection. As you know, the Wealth Zone University says that the whole reason for being in business is to become wealthy for the company and the owner. Today, we're going to talk with Michelle Bell, who's going to tell us how to protect those assets and wealth. So let's get right into it. Michelle.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
And I understand that you are a family business attorney.
Yes.
Tell us about your firm.
So my firm provides small business and family estate planning, as well as succession planning for businesses. We do probate and pretty much making sure that businesses are set and ready to go, because no one seems to think about what happens to your business if you retire, you pass away, or you're just too ill to do anything.
Or if you transition and get ready to sell it, if it's successful.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I find the same thing in our business as a chief financial officers. That thought process doesn't come along. And when it does come along, it's so complex that no one really gets to explain it right. So I'm going to hit you with the complexities so you can bring them down to our audience here. And audience, pay attention, because this is your future, okay? So Michelle, tell us a bit about your firm, MC Bell Law Firm, PLLC.
PLLC, yes. So I'm originally based in DC, but I do have an office in Bowie.
Okay.
I work, like I said, with small businesses. I also work with families and individuals, because no one wants to talk about estate planning. It's like it's the death or,
It is
the
death.
topic of death. And it's like, no, it's there to protect you while you're living, as well as protect your family and your business partners and everything after you pass away. So it's not just about death. It's great. You work hard. Why not protect what you work hard for?
Well, good. So you and I are going to approach it today from a life perspective.
Yes.
An asset perspective.
Yes.
And so I want the audience to understand that the estate part is still important, but because we're talking to business owners today, we're going to talk about how to make sure that once we make sure that you get rich, Michelle, make sure that you keep it and pass it on. So
Correct.
we're going to talk about asset protection.
Yes.
And to just get into that scenario, we believe that businesses are supposed to build wealth over long term, 20 years, and that makes the company wealthy and that makes the owner wealthy. Michelle is going to tell you that once you acquire those assets and wealth, that they have to be protected.
Yes.
And so, Michelle, please tell us what asset protection is from a business perspective.
So from a business perspective, asset protection is basically those words. So your business is an asset. The things that you produce are assets. So if you do, like someone who does a lot of speaking engagements and they have those presentations, that's an asset, right? Your emails, these blogs that are coming out that people send through your email blast, your newsletters, like all of that stuff is digital assets.
Okay.
It's not just your furniture, your computer, your desk, your chair. I mean, those are great too, and they're there, they're yours. But these things that you're sending out, your marketing, your logos, you're doing all of this, you have to protect it. Unfortunately, there are people out here that are looking for someone who's creating this great big brand, and it's beautiful. They will come in and they will literally they can go to and do a trademark on your stuff, because if you haven't already, they will do that. So that's happening now, actually. They will go take your website domain name. If you haven't protected that, they will take one that's similar. And then they will charge you extra money for you to go try and get it. So I'm finding that with a lot of businesses, because everybody wants to start a business and they think about business plan, marketing, money. Okay, but in that marketing plan, did you put in place how to protect these things that you're putting out there first to build your business and make it bigger? Because we, unfortunately, in this digital age and time, you're going to come up with a lot of people trying to get the stuff and make money. Now, it's not the best way to make money, but I mean, if you've built this brand and paid all this marketing and you haven't protected it and someone comes along and takes it, and they're going to charge you a lot of money just to get it back.
Wow. And so that's a perspective that I hadn't even thought about.
Most people don't.
Yeah, the social media platform, e-commerce platform that everybody's on now, that everybody's rushing to and trying to be an influencer and everything else, that needs protection early on as you begin to create and develop the ideas and brand. Tell us more about that, because that's important.
It is. It's very important. Like I said, most people start off, first thing they hear, business plan. Okay, so how are you going to make the money? Who are you going to hire? What product are you putting out? What service are you putting out? Do you have the right certifications and things for that and marketing? But it's like, okay, once you get all that together and you start putting it out there, your ideas and how you're going to do this and the product and everything like that, you have to have a protection, something's protected in place, protection in place. So for example, you can trademark, your logos, make sure you have your domain names, that you actually own it. Okay. So sometimes, how you hire a marketing person to create your website, your domain name, and all of that, but you never discuss with them who actually owns it.
Yeah, I've been through that.
Right, people don't think about that. So you gotta protect that as well. So you can have, and it can be a simple contract between you and the person, and in there can be a clause that says, hey, you're creating this, but it's mine.
So before we go through this, we should come and sit with you and tell you what we think we want to do.
Yes.
So you can tell us what we should be doing to protect ourselves.
Correct. So I do what I call a 20-point audit assessment of businesses. So whether you're just starting out or you've been in business, I go through things to see what you have. So if you have the proper insurance, there are business insurance and there's personal insurance, but there's business insurance and there's a lot of them. So it depends on what type of business you have. So you can have, general liability insurance, you can have professional liability insurance, but you can have key person insurance, which covers if a main person in your business, something happens to them, how are you gonna continue that income?
And that's vital insurance for another whole topic by itself.
Exactly.
So we'll get to that.
All of that, but you need to have certain things in place. So people don't think about that part of it. So I called it a LIFT foundation. So you have legal, insurance, financial, and tax.
Okay, I like that.
If you you can't have it.
I just want you to say it again because I don't think that they got it.
LIFT foundation. The LIFT stands for legal, insurance, financial, and tax.
You see? She's smart. She's even got a. Now, did you protect that?
That acronym, yes. You will see a whole different face if you're trying to take that whole different face. You'll see. But I make sure that they have, those things in place, and we go over that to see where you are.
Good. And so, when a company is starting, we talk business plan, long range planning, and all those things. But what we haven't been doing is saying you need to take this to an attorney to see whether or not you should be doing something then planning and strategizing and marketing and those things.
Now, you want a business attorney. Not all attorneys
No, we're talking about Michelle Bell.
That's true. You are talking about me, but I also like to let people know, don't just go to any attorney just because they have the ESQ. It's total different areas that they could be practicing.
Absolutely. Just like you don't go to any accountant. So we're absolutely with that 100%.
Correct. So if an attorney should be able, at least a small business attorney like myself, we should be able to answer basic questions like, okay, do you have contracts? Do you have these specific contracts? Do you have any type of insurance? Do you have any type of financial system in place? And I get it. Some startups, they don't have the money for it. But with today's day and age, you have where you can get a software that doesn't cost much to start off with,
but
if you can't afford it.
You know about it.
You do.
Before you can even think about it.
You do.
And that's the important part of what we're trying to get across here. That doesn't matter how much it costs or how much it doesn't cost, that you need to know about it ahead of time. So while you're doing that business plan, you should be thinking about, I need to go to Michelle, have her take a look at it to get squared away. Because seriously, when we start branding and developing, we're not thinking about someone that's going to take
Not
it.
at all. Not at all. And I mean, just even the discussion you have with the marketing person, if they're not your employee, they're somebody you just hired to help, you're letting them know what ideas and products and services, your thoughts and stuff like that. You should have a contract between you and that person, and in there should be a non-disclosure clause, which is saying they can't go out there and start telling people what you're doing, with, unless they have your permission to do that. Plus whatever work that they're doing for you belongs to you. Because if not, you'll see someone else with it, and it might just be a small difference.
Wow.
In between the two, and you may not want that.
That is so vital. And tell us about trademarking. How important is that?
Trademarking is important in the instance that if you are a company that just put a lot of money into branding and you're out there and the public knows who you are, you want to make sure that if someone else comes up and their stuff is similar to yours and it will confuse the public, you want to make sure that you have that footing where you can send them that letter that say, hey, you're doing too much. You're coming in on my stuff and you really shouldn't be there. You'll have that protection to do that. Now, that doesn't say that if you don't do it, you don't have some protection, but you have a better foothold because you have something in writing saying this is yours. For these services, for this type of thing, this is yours.
Wow.
Because a lot of people, they don't put stuff in writing. I don't understand why.
Because they never think of it. A lot of times you don't think of what's going to happen in the future. You're trying to think about what you're going to do, how well you're going to do it, and how much money you're going to make because you're doing it. And the other things just never seem to come up until something happens.
That's
and
exactly
you and I
it.
are trying to say we need to do this before something happens, because then, is it too late after someone takes my brand for you to get involved?
It may not be too late. Now, obviously, coming in after the fact, you might not be able to correct everything, but you can correct some things. But again, like we talked about with insurance, some insurance is to cover, because a lot of businesses will go bankrupt. Why? Attorney fees. We are not cheap.
And deservedly so, right?
Right. It's a lot that goes into that. So if you actually put the time in the beginning, it's cheaper to pay than us trying to get you out of a situation that you're in. Wow. Because if we can get you beforehand and court's not involved, versus get you afterwards, now we have court, we have another attorney sitting on the other side, both people going back and forth, it can get costly. It can get very costly. And there are some businesses that have gone under because of just the fact of legal fees and having to defend things in court. Wow. So it's so much more than just that business plan.
Michelle, thank you very much. We're going to take a break. Don't you move, because you need to know everything that we're talking about. We'll see you in a couple of minutes, okay? Thank you. Hi, everyone. The objective of the Wealth Zone University is to change your mind about money, to change your financial future. Hi, I'm your host, Don Moragne. In the Wealth Zone University, my guests and I talk about a wide variety of business, financial, and other worldly topics. We are seeking to both educate and entertain you. We emphasize that the informations and discussions are my opinion, perspectives, and ideas, and those of our guests. We in no way intend to deliver or provide financial, tax, or business advice. You should consult with your tax, accounting, financial, insurance, and legal advisors regarding the impact, application, or pertinence of any topic or opinion that we share on the Wealth Zone University. Thank you for being a part of our audience, and please continue to communicate with us through email and Twitter, because this is your show. Hi, welcome back to the Wealth Zone University. We are having a really good discussion about how your business can protect itself. And our guest today is Michelle Bell. She's a family business lawyer, and we're going to jump right back into the subject, and we're going to talk about succession planning. Yes. And succession planning is a topic that no one understands at all, except for Michelle. but everyone in business needs to be aware of. And so we're going to ask Michelle two things. First, for a business to have a relationship with your law firm, what do they have to do?
Actually, you can just call or email, and I do free 30-minute consultation.
Free, an attorney who does free? Okay.
Well, that's because, so let me explain that, why it's free. So I do not take on everyone. My 30-minute free consultation is so you and I can both talk. I find out about your business. You find out how I work and do things, and we can see if we can work together.
That's fantastic. We have that in common, exactly the way we deal with clients.
So I absolutely do that. So yeah, they can call or email.
Okay, so you know where to go, you know what to do. So let's talk about succession planning.
Yes,
The businesses that we handle are mostly medium and large government contractors. And we try, when we go in, there is no succession plan. We try and make sure that while we're in, that process happens. But understanding that process is really, really important. So tell us about succession planning from your perspective and what we should be doing as business owners.
So succession planning, I try to keep it as simple as, can be, because I mean, really, legalese, if you don't understand it, then that doesn't help the situation at all. So first step is, have you thought about what do you want to do with your business when you're ready to retire, or if you have a business partner, they want to retire, or if one of you become ill or you pass away, or really you just want to leave for whatever reason. So most people go in having a plan of how to make this great business work and all the other stuff, but they never consider an exit strategy. So succession planning is literally an exit strategy. Maybe you want to sell the business. Maybe you want to buy another business and bring it in. So it's all of that,
Okay.
So I try to start from the very beginning so that way I don't confuse people. First things first, is it just you or is it you and a partner? If it's you and a partner or you and other people, do you guys have a contract in place? That's number one. Because it has to be something saying how the business is going to be ran, who's in charge of this, who's in charge of that. If someone doesn't get paid, you need to know who to go to because whose fault it is.
So that contract is what, like a corporate operating agreement between?
It can, yes.
Okay.
So it's all different names depending on if it's a partnership, S Corp, LLC, but it's basically the same thing, like a partnership agreement. And it tells who is in charge of what, who does this, who does that. And I've noticed a lot of business people that come to me, they're in business with their friends, family, and so there's no contract because they're like, oh, I grew up with him, or it's my spouse, or it's people are people.
Yep, people are people.
They like you today.
And you found that out at the wrong time.
Right, they may not like you tomorrow. There's such things as divorce. It's all kinds of stuff.
I tell my clients, get that contract in place while everybody's still friendly.
Exactly. Get it in place. No one should be offended that you're being asked to sign a contract, but the contract needs to let people know what's supposed to happen. How are you splitting things? 50-50, 70-30, like how is it going to work? Then you also look into, okay, so what happens if a key person, so say you have two partners, right? You bring them, right, and you're bringing in money. So say, of course, I'm the female, I'm bringing in more money than you.
Of course.
So what happens to me, if something happens to me, how can the business still keep going? Because you're used to two incomes.
So there are two terms that are interchangeably talked about, which there's buy-sell agreement, there's cross-purchase agreement. What are they different? Are they the same?
So they're technical. So that's going
But she's going to make it non-technical for us.
I'm going to try. I'm going to try because there's so much that can go into it. So for example, a buy-sell agreement, obviously somebody's purchasing someone's business and another person is selling their business, right?
And we do a lot of those, especially now.
And if you have 2 or 3 pages, you're missing a lot of clauses. I'm just gonna let you know that up front. You are missing all kinds of stuff in there that's protecting you. So it's not, you need to know things about the business you're purchasing.
So let me interrupt right there. You said something that's important, that you make sure that you have language in there that protects you.
Correct.
That's important to know.
Correct.
You know, and that's your job as my attorney to make sure it's written for my protection.
Correct.
So if I'm in a room with someone else's attorney, it makes sense that they've written a document to protect their client.
Oh, I always tell the person on the other side, you may want to get an attorney because I don't represent you, I represent them. And these pages right here, I mean, I'm not in the business of going over, taking advantage of people, but you still need someone whose interest is protecting you because I'm protecting my client. But yeah, oh my goodness, buy-sell agreement is more than just, okay, let me buy the building or let me buy the furniture that's in there. You know, you have the client list, depending on, what type of thing. If there are services that business had or its actual products, you have to go into that. You have to go into the value of the business. That's not something you can just say, oh, well, we made, $500,000 last year. So I'm just going to say that's the value of the business.
That's what it's worth.
You're leaving out so many other things.
Yep.
You're leaving out your brand. You're leaving out all kinds of stuff that has more value to it. You need to include that. You need to include what's going to happen to your employees. Are they going to the new place? Are they not? They're getting a severance. You're just telling them, all right, it's been okay. You did good, but it's time to go. Like, what are you going to do? So it's a lot that goes into those type of agreements, but you need to know the business you're purchasing if you're on that end. Of course. Because they can tell you whatever. They can give you documents. Oh, yeah, my accountant said it's this, and pass it to you. You need to do research for yourself.
Yeah, we call it due diligence, and there's no substitute for it up front at all on the financial and the legal side.
Right.
But a lot of our companies that we go into have more than one owner, member, stockholder, whatever, and they don't have any way to make sure that if something happens to one of them, the company continues. So is that a cross-purchase agreement kind of situation?
So yes and no. So part of that would be where you definitely, of course, I'm always going to proponent for putting things in writing. But yeah, you have to have a way that the leftover owners or stockholders or whoever, depending on type of business entity you have, how they can purchase your interest or your share in that business. You don't want to leave that up to other people because, again, one thing we do know, we know when we're going to retire, but we don't know when we're going to be sick and we don't know when we're going to die. We just know it's going to happen. You just don't know when. So you want to make sure you have that stuff in place. So those type of agreements are part of what you should have. Because you got to let people know, what do you want to happen with your shares, your interests? Because I don't know about you, but if I have a partner, I don't know if I want his spouse, who may be a dentist, help running my law firm. What do they know about it?
You don't.
Right. And what if they want to have a say? And what happens? Like, what do you know about being a lawyer? So, you don't want those type of things. So if you don't mind, I can give a quick scenario.
Please.
So I got a call from someone who came in, and I just feel it's terrible. I couldn't help him. I'm conflicted out. But it's a business owner who had a partnership with a friend. Friend passed away. They didn't have an estate plan. They didn't have partnership agreements. They didn't have anything in place because they were friends. So now what happens? The wife is like, wait a minute, that was the income coming into my house. So either you're going to continue writing that check or I have to have a say in the business. Wow. Remember, there weren't any agreements in place anywhere. And of course, the business partner is like, no, not at all. Now you have adult children coming in like, oh, daddy bought me a car and all of this. Well, I should have some of that money too. And it's like, no, you weren't in on this business either. But again, nothing was in place business-wise or on the personal side. And
so it becomes more complicated and more expensive to get it straightened out after the fact than it would have if we done it in the beginning.
Everyone has an attorney at this point. The business partner, the spouse, and the adult children everyone has their own attorney. So the court system, yeah. It's going to be expensive as I don't know what. And they didn't have any insurance either to cover that. Again, remember I said businesses, a lot of them fold. Why? Just off of a lawsuit, or creditors. Wow. So yeah, definitely, you got to have this stuff in place. You got to talk to people like me.
Talk to people like Michelle. You know, the most important thing that we try and do here on the Wealth Zone University is bring topics to you and have outcomes from each one of our discussions. And our outcome for today is you need to bring an attorney in to your business planning at the beginning of it so that you can make sure that all things have been considered. And more than that, you need to bring Michelle in.
Yes, but even if you're not just at the beginning stage, that you've been in business and you realize you don't have maybe the proper, again, lift, you don't have the proper legal documents, proper insurance, financial or tax systems in place, contact me. I mean, an audit is not, you know, it's not like you're getting your teeth pulled. It's an audit.
So it's a legal audit then that you do? Okay. Michelle, that is so cool. How serious. We have outcomes. And understand, it's really important that you understand that protecting yourself, protecting your business, and protecting your assets is your responsibility. It's good attorneys like Michelle that help you in doing that. And so, Michelle, they can just give you a buzz, go on your website,
Absolutely.
and get that 30-minute free appointment. Now, if I go over to 31, dude, do you kick me out of your office?
No, I don't. I don't do that, no.
I do.
No, I think it throws people off, and they're just like, wait a minute, I don't have to pay for this, and then they just go.
29. Michelle, fantastic. Thank you so very much. Do you have any just one thing that you want everybody to consider?
There is one big tip that I always try to tell people. Put things in writing. I mean, it's that simple. I don't care who it is. You can be in business with your mom, your sister, your father, your cousin, your children, whoever. Put things in writing. People's memories are different.
Yeah.
And then you get upset or an argument. Oh, come on. Nobody's going to say, oh, yeah, you were right. You did say that you. No, they're not. Put it in writing.
Fantastic. Michelle, thank you for hanging out with me. You brought some really great points that everybody needs to hear. Folks, remember, one outcome. You need to have legal counsel involved at the beginning when you're doing your business planning. And you need to have someone as astute as Michelle do that for you. We'll see you next episode. Take care and mind your money. Bye.